Well, there you are. I am Charlie Simons. Hello, welcome to Do Not Talk, talking about the two things you're never supposed to talk about, religion and politics. One decides what life's going to be like here on earth. The other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. Kind of important. I think that was some bad advice we got from our teachers and our folks or our grandparents or whoever told you, oh yeah, I never talk about religion and politics. It's too divisive. And look where we are now. A whole bunch of people looking the other way. Looking this way. Well, everything's going over there that you should be paying attention to, but nobody talks about it. Till I came along. And people like my guest today, Derrick Gates. I'm looking forward to you to meeting him. He's a straight shooting, honest, totally tell you what he thinks. Fantastic. My kind of person. And he recently did this down at the southern border.
I wanted to give you guys a look at, this is a border crossing camp here. We are in southern California. They have these camps set up so when they cross at night, so the wall is just right on the other side of this ridge. Okay, so when they cross at night, they come and they stay here for the night or until somebody comes and gets them. As you can see,
look at that. Mylar blankets. Wonder where they got those. Who's supplying the tents?
And they all have, so there's fresh firewood. There's fresh firewood over there.
Yeah.
They leave clothes out for them.
Who's
the
they?
Tents have mattresses and
look at that.
Blankets.
How comfortable. Oh, nice.
So most of them will have these type of things here. This is so their IDs and stuff don't get wet. Fresh bottles of water. They have these. Those are the foil blankets to keep them warm.
Mylar blankets, yeah.
So the fire starter stuff right here, bottles of water everywhere. And then,
well, looky there.
Of course.
Facilities. Whoa.
They have the
middle of the
bathrooms.
desert.
The bathrooms, which are fully stocked.
Yeah, I'll bet.
With the sanitizing stations.
Look at that little sanitizing station.
Bathrooms.
Wow. Woo.
Bathrooms, fresh toilet paper in every one of them.
Yeah. Welcome to America.
Here we got the
big water container.
The cooler of water, not cooler. What do you call that? Barrel of water. I can't think of the word right now.
That's fine. Barrel works fine. It's more than that though, but check this out.
Those are our cars, and there's a guy over here doing some sort of media.
Speaking of media, where are they? How come they're not showing?
These trash cans are filled with clothing and food. It's just a wild situation.
Okay, it's time to get into it again. I'm not letting this go. As much as the media keeps ignoring what's going on the southern border and praying that we don't try and put together another take our border back convoy, which the media successfully ignored, shut down guys like me who are trying to go live. Next thing I know, my signal's going away. I was blocked for 4 days when I was in Southern California and when I was in Arizona, not able to go live on any platforms all of a sudden. Huh? What's going on with that? Well, let's talk to this guy coming up next. His name is Derrick Gates, and he's my guest on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
logo right there. It's on our big old 15-ounce mug, and I like big mugs. I cannot lie. The other brothers can't deny. You can get one of these for yourself. There's what we talk about, religion and politics. Get yourself one of these shirts too. God, family, country. That's it. That's what this show's about. Ephesians 5:11. Be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose it. My buddy Derrick Gates, I know, feels the same way. So, Derrick, you got to get yourself a mug and a shirt at do-not-talk.com. Do-not-talk.com. You'll be helping us stay on the air. I had the pleasure of meeting Derrick Gates here when I was helping Cordy Williams, who was running for Senate, and Rachel Ham running for Secretary of State. And this is going back to 2022. And it was the big election coming up. And I was invited to be on their tour bus with them. Loved it. I'm so glad I said yes. Went for a week riding all up and down California with these great people. Neither one won their race, though. Neither one.
Yeah.
And then this man right here, he shows up after one of the rallies, and I find out he's running for office too. And I told him the same thing I tell everyone who's never run for office before, but they saw so much theft, corruption, and piggery. That's just the word I made up. In the especially California political scene, that they decided to run for office. Didn't you, Derrick?
That is exactly right.
How did it turn out?
I lost.
What was the lesson?
Well, there was a lesson or lessons, many lessons.
Yeah, let's hear them.
The reality is we got to get this thing fixed. If we don't fix it, it's going to fix us. And, I did get lucky. I just won an election last week, but, it's definitely not the election I ran for in 2022. Are you familiar with Dr. Frank?
Of course. Steve Frank.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people.
I like him. I like him a lot. We had him in, my wife is the president of one of the CRA chapters.
Perfect.
And we had him in to hers to speak. And he looked at our numbers for my race back in 2022. He says, well, Derrick, I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but he goes, I think you won. And I was like, oh, that's worse than losing is just, I almost would have rather not known. I almost would have just rather not known, but it just gave me more energy. We got to fix it, man. We got to fix it. I don't have the answer.
I do. I think I do. We have to start
right.
with fixing our own Republican Party in the state of California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It has become a dismal failure. It is run by a train wreck who just got reelected last year. Shockingly, I don't know how that all came together, but none of it seemed to be on the up and up.
Yeah.
I have become an enemy of my own fellow Republicans in the state party. I tell everyone who will listen to me, don't give them a dime. Don't give the state of California Republican Party any money. And they're actively campaigning. They're sending all kinds of emails and texts and everything else. Give us $1. We'll go to fight for you. We're going to fight against Adam Schiff. We're going to fight against Scott Wiener. Actually, they never mentioned Scott Wiener, you notice. We're going to fight against Nancy Pelosi and all these terrible Democrats. And they're a catastrophe. The party's become so bad. I love the CRA. I'm glad to be a part of it myself. The California Republican Assembly, they're the conscience of the Republican Party. Look for a chapter in your county. Just look it up. The name of your county, whatever county you live in, San Joaquin, CRA, and the info will pop up. And get involved. And get involved with their central committee. Get involved in the county, wherever you are, with the Republican Central Committee. Start finding out how these people who are running for office are vetted and get in the process, and then start voting in the primary election. Derrick, we don't even show up for that.
Yeah, it was, LA numbers were really bad. We went over them last night. You're exactly right, by the way. I think where we have to start is the Central Committee, because every Central Committee, their responsibilities are find candidates equip candidates, and back candidates. That's their primary function. And when you find candidates, we're supposed to be vetting them. And for whatever reason, we're just sending, Democrats through. We're running Democrats as Republicans.
We really are, and against other candidates who are great. It happened
absolutely.
up here in Northern California. A couple of examples come to mind. One was Bay Area, Oakland, Mindy Pechenik, a great candidate. And instead, her own central committee threw somebody in young and dumb who's, all good looking and everything. And that's who they threw their weight behind late in the game.
Yeah.
Late in the game.
That's what happened to me. We campaigned when I ran for Congress against Ted Lieu. We campaigned for 2 years hard. Before signatures were even due, before papers were even due, I pulled papers and the party decided to run somebody against me. And basically what happened was I had a visit to my house by a particular office holders team. And he may or may not have been the ex Speaker of the House. And they said, if you stop talking about X, Y, and Z, we'll make sure that you get elected.
Are you serious?
100%, 100%. And I said, I'm not willing to. I had it in my mind. I was still naive at the time. I thought, people are going to vote for me because of my ideas. People are going to vote for me because, I'm flipping the tables like Jesus. That's what I thought. And come to find out, man, there's some things you have to win. And one of those is money. And then the other one is people vote the Republican Party regardless of the candidate. Yep. And
because they're counting on a mailer. They're counting on a mailer being sent to them so they can just copy whatever they tell them to vote for.
That's exactly right. And even though I had led the polls for 2 years, as soon as that guy jumped in the race and ran again, and I knew the guy, by the way, he literally told me, he said, Derrick, I have to run where they tell me to run. That was his exact words. I have to run where they pay me to run, And I was just completely blown away. And the polls showed it, even though it was my first ever election ever, never ran for office. I beat 27 candidates, but I came in third place in the jungle primary. That's also what we call losing. But I learned a lot.
Other words.
Yeah. But so what I did was I said, you know what? I'm going to play the long game, Charlie. I'm playing the long game. What is that? That's me getting on the central committee and being a gatekeeper to who gets to run. So that's what I did. I just ran for central committee. I got more votes than anybody's ever gotten in that position.
I'm so glad you won that.
We have 25 central committees in LA County, by the way, because LA County is so big. And I got more votes than anybody in the entire county. So each of those 25 central committees have seven members. And I got more votes than every single one of them. And I was dang proud of that.
Now that's volunteer. You don't get paid for that.
Nah, volunteer, man. Volunteer.
Unlike running for public office, you don't get paid for that. So
yeah, not a dime.
What's your day job? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I do. I do media. I'm a pastor full time, which is also a volunteer job. That's one of the, I've always been about flipping the tables. Some of these, Christian leaders making millions and millions of dollars, and I'm not against somebody getting a paycheck. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
but
certainly not.
But
don't muzzle the oxen.
Right. The reality is, Charlie, I think until we clean up the mess in the church, I don't know if we can clean up the mess in the government. I think, it's a reflection of the body of Christ, and the body of Christ is also just, dangling by a thread right now in our nation. So, we're fighting a front on two fronts.
About the Black Robe Regiment, of course. the history of the
Absolutely.
Black Robe Regiment.
100%.
When he explained about somebody who doesn't know that and why this is so important for pastors to actually speak up about what's going on, not just in their little community, but outside.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. In 2019, I saw this it was about October. We started to hear these stories of people getting sick, mainly in China, mainly, over there. I had actually gotten really sick in December. I hadn't moved to LA yet. I was still in Texas, and we had been to LA, and I had been down to the garment district where, there's 1 million people down there. And I got home and I was brutally ill. I'd never been that sick. And the flu really bad. But I went to the doctor and they tested me. They said I had an unidentified flu. And so then you start hearing these stories more and more popping out. So I said, this is it. I've been a conspiracy theorist for way too long, and I was like, this is it. They're going to pull the pandemic on us. So early 2020, I said, this is what they're going to do. I said, they're going to make this a pandemic. They're going to steal the election. They're going to force a vaccine. Everybody said, you're not, you're crazy. You're crazy. They'll never do that to us. And what I seen happen was I seen the church retreat. When the church should have stood up, they sat down. I can't tell you, man. I traveled full-time for ministry for about 7 years, these big conferences, 15,000 people, and all these big name leaders were always like, you'll shoot me in the street before you ever shut me down, and talking all this big talk about, end times and stuff like that. And then everybody ran when this pandemic thing happened. Everybody ran.
Yeah.
And then I got ostracized. People are like, you should obey the government. It's godly to obey the government.
I had people attacking me. Same thing happening to me on the media side.
Same thing, man. And I said, look, these are God-given rights.
These are Christians doing this, by the way. Christians coming after us.
Yeah, church leaders. These are people, some of these people I'd known for years. They had me come in to preach in their churches. And I said, look, these are God-given rights. They come before my obedience to this government. I was like, you're not going to shut me down. You're not going to tell me I can't worship. You're not going to tell me I can't sing. What are we doing here? And so, that's when I really started I knew the Black Robe Regiment, but it didn't really, when things start to hit home, that's when things become real important to you, And so the Black Robe Regiment was during the Revolutionary War that, these preachers would preach on Sunday and grab their rifle on their way out the door, to get into the fight.
They were also they were the hub for information to disperse to the congregation. Here's what's happening, and government matters. The thing that has killed the American church, I'm quite convinced. First of all, Jesus said in the last days that they will gather unto themselves men who will tell them what they want to hear, who will tickle their ears. He doesn't say they'll infiltrate. He says they will gather unto themselves. Yeah. So this is the body, allegedly the body of Christ, bringing these weak men unto themselves who tell them what they want to hear and tickle their ears. But there's also something else that's happened, and this goes back to Johnson, one of the worst presidents this country's ever had, with the whole 501c3 thing.
100%. That's their pieces of silver.
Mm-hmm. That controls the pastors, because they have them in fear that if you say anything about politics, we will pull your license, and you'll have to start paying taxes.
They're more interested in the tax break and the money than they are the truth. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, God is not pleased. God is not pleased with this. How would he be? And over my dead body will I ever shut up. I made that pledge. I said I will scream it from the rooftops. I don't care. You can never invite me back to your church. I don't need to go to your church. I have a megaphone in a street corner. I'll preach the gospel there. I don't need your building. I don't need your paychecks. I was looking for a job when God called me, and I found one, and I'm not stepping away because of your cowardice. These people are scared little sheep. That's the problem. They fail to recognize that there's a lion on the inside of them that's dying to get out, you know. And if they would just man up, they would see that God still has this fight, and God's not going to lose. He's going to have his way. You know, the question is, you know, who's going to be there with us when we're fighting this battle? That's the thing.
I'm so glad you got on the Central Committee. That makes me happy. I'm really glad to hear that, because you can make some changes there and you can get us on a better path, because something like a fourth, maybe even more, a third of the population base for the entire state of California is right there where you are in Southern California. I mean, we think we got a lot of population up here in Northern California with Sacramento and San Francisco. The Bay Area, is huge, but the voting base, a tremendously large amount of it is right there where you are.
Yeah.
And we got to start with our own Republican Party.
Yeah. There's more Republicans in LA County than anywhere else in the United States.
But they don't show up in primary elections.
It's hard to believe, because that's the thing. And you remember in 2021, I think it was 2021, they did that study about being conservative, and basically it said something to the effect of about 94% of conservatives were afraid to share that they were conservative because they were afraid to be canceled by their friends, family, and jobs. And that's the enemy winning. That's the devil. That's the devil winning.
I'll tell you what, it's true. It is true. I've had my world rocked, especially when COVID happened, and I took a strong stance against all the mandates and the rolling right over and closing churches. I took a strong stance on the radio at the time, and I took so much heat for it that I wound up losing what I thought was, all I've ever done is radio and television. And so it's just about 2 years ago now that I got into the whole podcasting thing, and I've never looked back. I love it. This is where we're going to be able to communicate with each other and get information.
This is the future. This is the future of media,
because the media is not going to change.
I believe it.
The media is the mouthpiece of Satan himself.
Yeah.
Who
would ever thought, Charlie, would you ever thought that you would look to somebody like Russell Brand or Joe Rogan for your information? Like, I never thought that time would come where Russell Brand and Joe Rogan would be who I would believe over, something else, but it's the way it is, man. And podcasts and citizen journalism is the news of the future.
And like what you did down at the border. I don't know what prompted you to do that, but you said you're literally going back, and I hope to be able to arrange it to go with you. I want to be a part of it. But what made that happen? Because I don't think you've ever done anything like that before.
No, I've done other stuff, like I was in the riots, like when LA was rioting, we filmed, we were right in the middle of all that. I had a cop car blow up on me, a matter of fact. We've filmed a lot of other stuff that I won't go into detail about, but I had not been to the border yet. And we kept saying we were going to go. And at the time, more stuff was happening in Texas and Arizona than here in California. So I just kind of thought, well, I'm not going to go down unless I know I can find something. And then when Texas finally kind of got their crap together, is forcing people up this way, I was like, okay, well, let's go check it out. And I actually went down with, Charlita Bassett. I think you've met her,
Bassett,
right?
I love her.
Yeah. So Charlita and her publicity guy, Matthew Kennedy, my wife, my camera guy, Neil, and his wife happens to be my daughter. We all just took a trip down there. We first went to San Diego, and what was funny, I don't know if you heard the story, but we accidentally crossed the border and had trouble getting back because we didn't have a passport.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's like I was like, isn't this some BS? I can't get back into my own country, but these guys are just crossing over like nothing.
What irony?
What irony. I was just like, this is just not cool. And a matter of fact, they wanted to get this. They wanted to fine us. There was 4 people in our car. They wanted to fine us $5,000 a piece, or impound the car because we didn't have a freaking passport. I was just like, this is absolutely unbelievable. So we have IDs. American.
You're supposed to hand it. You're supposed to hand over.
Yeah, you're supposed to stroke a check right then. I was like, yeah,
and fill it out. Fill it out to the individual officer's name, of course.
Right. So anyway, we
dirty.
got back across, and
dirty.
you know, we met some people down there that own. So in San Diego, they actually own the property all the way to the fence, and right next to the crossing where you know you can either go across a car or a bridge, and they own it. It's up on a hill, and you can look down across Mexico, across San Diego, and so we started there, and we just went there and prayed a little, and just kind of looked, and I was like, you know, this is cool, but this isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a crossing. I want to see where they're coming across. And so I Googled it and just found a couple of different locations that were on some, some chat sites and stuff. And so we went and we found it. That's what we did.
Where's the media?
Yeah, there was one van there, and he got extremely nervous when we started filming him there. And he had some really nice equipment set up. I don't remember who he said he was with. Is nobody who I'd ever heard of. And so we went over and introduced ourselves and was talking to him. Then I said, well, you know, hey, you ought to interview Charlita. You know, we're both running for public office. She's running for Senate. You know, you think that might be an interesting story, her there at the border. And boy, he didn't want to have anything to do with that. So he was definitely a lefty of some sort. He got out of there quick. But
if he had really nice equipment, most likely it was some kind of a government thing, because
I think it was. I really do. Everything was unmarked. He was real shady about about his information, and I had never even heard of what he said. I was like, this is just odd. But I mean, the whole trip was odd. I mean, bathrooms, sanitation stations, and I don't know if you saw I'm sure you saw the rest of the video where I ended up later after Charlita left. We found the signs.
If I brought it up, you want to walk me through it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
What do you think, bud?
It's definitely something that.
Let's skip ahead here.
Come back across our own border, and
we got to get going to like.
Keep going.
We're gonna head out too. So,
I said,
if you guys go back and look at my video from before.
What's that?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Before, I just left the camp. So down this road, there's a complete camp.
These signs.
Yeah,
look at
right
these signs
with firewood and food and tents and warming blankets, bathrooms stocked with fresh toilet paper, big tower of water.
Bring the volume down so you can talk over it.
Yeah,
it is absolutely
those signs.
Wild.
Did you get a different
here,
shot of it again?
Living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I do get that. Yeah, we found several sets of them. So basically, what it is,
the signs are literally directing them on which way to go to get whatever
to get to the camp. Yeah,
and so it was interesting to me. They were written in English.
All right, guys, go back and watch the last video.
Right. Yeah, one's in English. One's in English, one's in Chinese, and one's in Spanish.
It's in Chinese.
And it all says asylum. So
now you're at the fence. Here we go.
Yeah, that's the gate.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Or not the gate, but the fence. And
the wild thing,
it's wild. It is wild.
Is this right here? If you didn't see my video from a little earlier,
here we go.
So I'm going back over to the signs there. That's another set.
Look at this.
So the signs are all the way from the fence to the camp. They're marked all along the way. And they all have ribbons to where you can see them from a distance or in the dark. They're all neon.
There it is. I'm going to pause this. Asylum, a silo, and then you're telling me that third sign that looks like Jeep are actually Chinese characters saying the same thing. Yes. Asylum.
Yeah, Chinese characters. Yeah,
and they're pointing this way.
Yep,
there it is.
Exactly right, buddy.
Son of a.
Yeah.
This is infuriating.
Yeah, it's just wild. And then if you see where I go back over to the
So
fence,
it shows
I mean,
them where to go. So
there's a
you
4
follow.
foot wide section you can just walk through.
Yeah, let's get to that. Yeah, you found the place where it meets the rocks. Here it is. And you said something very interesting here. You said, because you stick your phone actually through the fence and you show a paper on the ground that's got writing. It looked like it was written in Spanish. And you said, I sure would love to know what that says.
Yeah.
And it was typed and some kind of instructions. Let's see if we can get a shot though of where the fence meets that rock, and then it just quits. People were saying for some reason that blaming Donald Trump that the wall didn't get finished. And I'm like, he absolutely tried. He tried. There it is. There's the paper. You say, I sure would love to know what that says. And
absolutely.
he had every single obstacle thrown at him. Remember in the beginning, there was no way to pay for it. So he had to take it from the military budget. And then they had a problem with that. And they fought him every single bit of the way. Okay, here we go. Now you'll see. There it is.
Yep. There's the
Neil,
my camera guy.
And then
actually he just hopped right over the rock and went into the Mexican side.
And then they detained him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, what was interesting was after we left, somebody like a few days later, it was actually Charlita sent me an article that was that place that we were at. But on the Mexican side, I guess the Mexican military had been patrolling that area, with their machine guns and everything. And she's like, well, I'm sure I'm glad we didn't run into those guys. I would rather, military be all right. The cartel would be a bad thing,
I'm sure they were watching you. I'm sure there was somebody.
I'm sure. I'm certain they were watching me. Well, when we go back down, I'm going to take my drone. So we'll fly that drone over and see what's on the other side.
And then they'll charge you $5,000 to be able to fly it back.
Yeah, they'll shoot it down and won't let me take it.
We kept saying, they have this new clothing, they have this food, they have this camp set up, they have this.
Who's they?
And who's they?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea who they is?
Well, I'm convinced the government is the one that's funding it. It may not be, a mainstream section of the government, but Democrats are taking that stuff out somewhere,
FEMA.
And providing it.
FEMA.
Yeah, I'm sure.
FEMA.
Yeah. I mean, it's all FEMA,
And FEMA is giving this
the
money
Mylar blankets.
What do you know about? Yeah, the Mylar, right? What do you know about? And that's military, by the way. Or at least it used to be. So, what do you know about the NGOs? What's it called? The non-government organizations.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard that until that day. Somebody had told me that day that they believed that, actually they said that they believed that van was actually NGO. So one of the guys with me, and so
probably shooting some footage to show, look at all the great things that we're doing.
Yeah, look at what we're doing.
Suckers who feel the way they do, that it should be open borders and nobody should be prohibited from coming in. You don't have borders, you don't have a nation. Hey, Vatican, you love these people so much and you're so big-hearted with everybody. And Catholic Charities are the predominant NGOs who are doing this shit, both on the Mexican side of the border and on our side. These are the Catholic Charities that are doing it. Because why? Their voter rolls are low. So these are undocumented Democrats is what they are, not undocumented workers. They're undocumented new Catholics to come in and to start paying their tithe, because the Catholics have screwed up so badly and lost so much of their membership of those who claim to be Catholic.
Charlie, you've seen those interviews, right? Where they're like, well, if they let you vote, who will you vote for? Biden. He's a good man. I've seen those interviews everywhere. And they know exactly what they're doing.
And we're already
100%. I agree with you.
We're seeing cities and states that are now starting to explore ways to let them actually vote legally.
Yeah. Well, up around your neck of the woods, close up north, they just hired that Chinese citizen to oversee the elections in San Francisco. Have you seen that?
Isn't that insane?
It's wild. My wife. She said she's only been here 4 years, and not a citizen. How do you hire a non-citizen
To handle
to
the election.
oversee the elections? Unbelievable.
And I don't understand how it's even legal, other than
It shouldn't be.
you have Governor Hairdo, who's doing everything he can to run this state headlong into socialism. And you have to, if a few, as they say on the left, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So it doesn't matter who dies, who gets ruined, how many businesses are trashed, how many family run businesses, they lose everything.
Yeah.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, and it's gonna be a tasty, tasty omelet where you're not gonna own anything and you'll like it. The government will take care of you from cradle to grave. Don't you understand? Why you're so stupid? You can't understand that we want to take care of you, and if you don't let us and you keep fighting against us, we will come up with ways to force you. We'll take it away from you. Eminent domain, whatever we have to do to destroy you and ruin you, so you don't think the way you do. You're either going to
what Carl Schwab
die.
Say? What Carl Schwab say? He said, "You don't even need privacy. If you want," he said, "If you want privacy, you're hiding something."
Say it again.
He said, "If you want privacy, you're hiding something." They're going to take it all. They're going to take everything.
Klaus Schwab said that.
Yeah, he said that. I just watched the interview just a couple of days ago.
That's
he
what
said.
Go ahead.
If you want privacy, you have something to hide.
That's why I don't have a problem with any race or people coming across the border who are immigrating or migrating to the United States as a migrant, by the way, as they keep calling them migrant workers. That's because you come here, you work, and then you go back.
Right.
But yet the left keeps calling them migrants. They're not going back.
They're not going back.
And this has been, it's going to be a short fix for them too, because I'm quite convinced that once these, especially the ones from Central and South America, come here, who are predominantly Catholic, and once they start realizing and getting the Holy Spirit in their heart, and they realize, I'm supporting the party of death. I'm supporting the party that wants to kill traditional marriage. I'm supporting the party that wants to murder babies in the womb. This is the party of death I'm supporting. Not worth it. And there's going to start changing. But in the meantime, they don't care, because they're so close to getting their one world government, and they're so close to getting the United States to comply and fall right in line with the rest of the world that is marching towards this whole Star Trek utopia, that I really don't care what race they are who come across the border.
Yeah, I don't care either. I don't care either. Matter of fact, when I was out there at that camp, I've done homeless ministry for 20 years of my life. I love to minister to those that are down and out. Jesus would do it. And you know what? Jesus loves every one of those people that comes through that border. I believe that. But the reality is we have to be a nation of a border, or we will not exist as a nation. So when you look at it, it's like, what's the better good? We can't just let everybody in without coming the right way, and I've had some struggles with it. It's like one part of me, my pastoral side's like, well, I just want to pray for them and love them and, do this, do that. And then, my patriot side's like, shut the damn border, and the reality is both of those things can be there, and, we have to do what's right. And what's right is, we have to protect our families. We have to protect our nation. We have to protect what we have, or we won't have anything left. And the end goal, by the way, is to even strip us of our faith. So, all these people that are saying it's the godly thing to do. Well, you're not going to have that as an option in this country when they take control. They want to strip you of your faith.
And that's what the left already does. They worship the government.
Yeah.
But you mentioned borders and walls and the Catholic faith. The Vatican has very high and very thick walls.
Big, beautiful walls.
Mr. Pope. Tear down those walls.
That's right. That's right.
Before you lecture us about whether we put walls up or not.
I couldn't believe I heard that when he did that, I mean, he's just like every other liberal that's out there. Walls are bad, but every one of them live behind a wall.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Derrick Gates, you're fantastic. Congratulations on winning the Central Committee race there in your county. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad to know you. And I hope you can make it to that event this coming Saturday that I'm going to be attending down there at the Republican National Committee Community Center. If they'll even let me in after I just got through bashing them for about 45 minutes. You're an admirable gentleman. And where do we get involved with you? How do we follow you and find out more about what you're doing?
I lost you for a second, but I think you just said, how can you follow me? So I have a couple of websites. My ministry website, or it's really just my like my podcast and stuff, is DerrickGates.com. DERRICK Gates, like Bill Gates, just less money. GATES.
Oh, you froze up again. Shoot. He's on the road, and I recognize that's obviously a hotel room he's in there, and you can't always count on their Wi-Fi being the best and the most trustworthy. So we at least got that one website there, DerrickGates.com, right? Is that what he said? DERRICKGATES. That's a good place to start. Find him on Facebook, find him on X, find him on all the social media. Worth it. He posts stuff and says things that just absolutely crack me up. Derrick, I'm sorry I'm gonna have to pull you off here. Don't go away though. I really want to thank you though, Derrick, for taking the time, because I know he's pretty dang busy right about now, and he took a lot of time to go on the air with me here. Thank you for supporting what we're doing here at Do Not Talk at do-not-talk.com. We have a Give, Send, Go account set up there. You can find that at that website. Also become a monthly sponsor like a lot of folks have at locals.com. That's also on our website. You get all the information there, and you can buy yourself a mug, buy yourself a t-shirt, and we sure would appreciate it more than anything you could do, with the exception of prayer, for the success of this ministry and this show to be able to stay on the air and to be able to actually make some money from doing it. Would be great for my producer, Kirk Deshawn, Forefront Aerial Productions. So do-not-talk.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, may America bless